Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 5:55. I just wanted to host our legislative caucus before we start our legislative session at 6. So I will formally call our legislative session to order at 6 p.m. Mr. Parker will lead us in roll call. I will lead the invocation this evening. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Jones. For communications, we will hear a presentation by the management team of Tri-County Community Action Commission on the 12th Annual Great Harrisburg Litter Cleanup, followed by courtesy of the floor, then approval of the minutes for the legislative session that occurred on March 26th, 2024. We will hear the following committee reports. I will share a report on behalf of the Administration Committee on the work session of April 2nd, 2024. Chair Davis will share a report on behalf of the Building and Housing Committee on the work session of April 2nd, 2024. And Chair Jones will share a report on behalf of the Public Safety Committee on the work session that occurred on April 2nd, 2024. We do not have any ordinances for first reading, ordinances for amendment, or ordinances for final passage. We will move to resolutions. We have Resolution 20 of 2024, which we will vote upon. Next, we have Resolution 21 of 2024, which will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 22 of 2024 will move to the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. Resolution 23 of 2024 will move to the Public Works Committee. Resolution 24 of 2024 will move to the Budget and Finance Committee. And Resolution 25 of 2024 will move to the Community and Economic Development Committee. Is there any old business? Okay. Any new business?
Yes, I would just like to give, talk about things that are happening this weekend in Harrisburg.
Any other new business?
Yes, Madam President, just want to send out a reminder for House by Saturdays and a few other initiatives we're working on.
Okay, thank you. And then we will adjourn. So we will formally call the meeting to order in 2 minutes at 6 p.m. Thank you. When the time is 6 p.m., I would like to officially call our legislative session to order. Mr. Parker, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Daniels?
Here.
Ms. Davis?
Present.
Ms. Green? Mr. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Rawls?
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Present.
Ms. Bowers?
Present. Thank you. I will lead the invocation this evening. I would like to ask if we could all please keep the following bereaved families in our thoughts and prayers in the coming days, weeks, months ahead. The Jones family, the Ross family, the Richardson family, and the Spiral family. If we could please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Jones.
Thank you, President Bowers.
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. For communications this evening, we will hear a presentation from the management team of Tri-County Community Action Commission on the 12th Annual Great Harrisburg Litter Cleanup. You can come here, and if you wouldn't mind turning on the microphone and moving it close to you so that those listening online are able to hear you clearly.
Is this on? We
Yes,
good? All right.
yes. Thank you.
Awesome. I am with Serena Asakome, and we are very excited to just share about the 12th Annual Harrisburg Litter Cleanup, which started in partnership with the city to address illegal dumping and street trash. Annually, it has over 400 volunteers, and last year we had 4 tons of trash removed. It's going to be on Earth Day on 4/20 from 8 to 12 in 3 different locations. I just want to thank Mayor Williams for her support. I want to thank Director West of Public Works for all the work that he's done and the work behind the scenes. I want to thank Councilman Rodriguez, and I really see what we're doing with this as in partnership with the hotspots, and couldn't be more thrilled just to team up, collaborate, and work together for the good of the city and for the cleanliness of the city and safety of the city. If you have any questions, I'd like to direct people to Liz Evans Scolforo, who is really quarterbacking this project with our team. She's done a fantastic job. Her number is 717-324-0319, if you'd like to get in touch with her about participating with us.
And how can interested parties sign up to participate?
Yeah, if you go onto our website, cactricounty.org, you can sign up right there on the website.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
Just thank you very much.
Yeah,
And good evening. Thank you for being here and sharing that with the community.
yeah, absolutely. We're thrilled. I brought a T-shirt that I wanted to share with you.
Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
Brought one.
Got 7 of us.
You can see it here.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's nice.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the work.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
Very nice. Thank you. We will now move to courtesy of the floor. Just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. If you could please state your name and your address for the meeting record. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live within the city. If you are here on behalf of a group, we ask that you please designate a spokesperson. You will have 4 minutes to share your comments. Mr. Parker will serve as our timekeeper. I will begin to my right. Is there anyone that would like to offer public comment?
Is it on? There it is. Good evening, Council. Pam Parson, 18th and Holly. The last time I spoke to you all, I created an unintended firestorm. And I'd like to do my best to try to make amends for that. I'd also like to say that when I come up here and speak to you, I don't say the things I do without receipts, without having done my research, without having done my homework. First of all, I would like to say that it is a joy to see Councilman Jones here. It is a joy to see him because he represents the ability to overcome, that he shows us that redemption is possible, that re-entry, when done right, works. And he has overcome a lot of struggles to be here, and he has been transparent and accountable in his getting to this spot. I would also like to thank him for the work that he has done thus far in these few months for Allison Hill, and in particular, in addressing the issues of sidewalk obstruction. And more than that, I appreciate the way he is doing it by providing education and warnings so that people have the ability to self-correct. I will always err on allowing people to correct themselves first and to do what is right before we fine them, throw them in jail, remove them, whatever it is. And this is so important for me to say that because the colleague to his right told me repeatedly over a period of years that there was nothing that could be done about the sidewalk obstruction, that it was not, we didn't have it in statute, it wasn't enforceable, all of those things. So I appreciate you, Councilman Jones. President Bowers, I appreciate that you took the time after the last meeting that I was here to remind me that our translation services are paid for out of council budget and that they are paid for out of council. Thank you, all of council, because the administration chose not to make that a priority. I also appreciate knowing that more people have joined our viewership as a result of that. And that's the sort of thing that we want to happen. And while you told me that privately, I wish you would have made that public as well. I do not expect any of you to be perfect. And I'm sorry if I gave you that impression. In fact, I expect you to be fully human because that is really what we are all about. And human beings make mistakes. And so what I expect when a mistake is made is that you are accountable and that you are transparent. And that you will hold not only each other accountable, but the administration and anything else in your purview. And finally, I would like to say that transparency and accountability are very important to democracy, and that when we don't have them, we take a step towards authoritarianism. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else to my right? One moment. Is there anyone else to my right that would like to offer public comment? Okay. Seeing and hearing no one, anyone in the middle section?
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Char Magaro. I live in Enola on Magaro Road, but have always had a business here in Harrisburg. I'm here to briefly speak about the Swatara Street Park in South Allison Hill. We're seeking to have a grant. We submitted a grant through the city to have that park built on the area, on a 10-lot area. 8 of them will be phase 1, which we're going for the present grant for. It is going to be a very heavily planted city park for the people of South Allison Hill. It won't be like any other park, and it's designed that way so that it is very lush, and it'll serve 2 purposes as a climate change action and environmental justice, because it will, once it's fully grown in about 3 to 5 years, the community can go within this lush space and have a place to communicate. It will lower their stress level. It's been proven that to be in nature lowers your stress level. How this was found, these lots were found, was in conjunction with Tri-County Community Action. There was a 5-year study, I believe it was a 5-year study, where over 700 people in South Allison Hill participated, and they wanted parks in South Allison Hill. And this just happened to be the 10 lots that I found through their study that they wanted a park. The proposal is that the city will adopt these lots when they're finished, and that I will spearhead and have already formulated the maintenance plan for 5 years, and then the city will take over maintenance. We have raised, and my friends here will tell you about the money we've raised. It will not cost the city anything. We're looking for a match, and right now we do have enough money that we have raised, and also we can put in these lots that a Harrisburg Housing Authority is going to donate, and one which we have contracted to purchase to do phase 1. And in phase 2, it will consist mostly of just green space and a half basketball court. I met with the community. They're excited. They can't believe we're going to make their neighborhood beautiful. So there's input there. It will be lit with solar lighting, and also the sub-police station is going to monitor with cameras. There are a group of 4 volunteers who are going to watch over it. They're taking 1 week out of the month to watch over it, keep it clean, to report to me. So I believe all of the rocks everything has been turned and looked at and well planned. So thank you, and I hope that you can pass the resolution. We are under a deadline, so thank you.
Alex Reber, business owner and property owner at 701 North 2nd Street here in Harrisburg. I would also like to speak in favor of Resolution 22, 2024. We have raised over $70,000 privately to help assist with the construction of this park. We did get a county gaming grant of $72,000, and I'm on the board of the Redevelopment Authority, who has been supporting this. We own most of the lots right now and are very excited for this use. So the 2 things that we need to do are, get this resolution passed and have your support. And we want to let you know that we're here to answer any questions you have anytime. So please find us, ask questions, happy to answer any of those. And then the other piece is we need a memorandum of understanding that the legal office is working on with the city as well. And we need to have that wrapped up hopefully by the end of this month, and then we'll be in good stead with DCNR to get this money. And so thank you so much for all that you do, and reach out with any questions.
Hi, I'm Mark Santana. I live on the 200 block of Liberty Street, and I come here as 2 parts that, as a city resident, I would like for you to support Resolution 22 of 2024. And also, I am the treasurer of the Harrisburg Parks Foundation, with the fiduciary for this project. We brought together a bunch of different stakeholders, and we feel this is a much needed park for a park in Allison Hill that doesn't really have any parks in that area. So I would hope and humbly ask that you support Resolution 2224. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Daniel D. Graham, 217 North 2nd Street here in Harrisburg, PA. And again, we need more railroad, Amtrak, long-distance passenger trains running on present rail lines here in Pennsylvania and all across the nation, and more manufacturing jobs here in Harrisburg and the surrounding towns. And in the latest issue of Passenger Train Journal magazine, President Joe Biden has laid out a long list of passenger rail restoration projects in many states, including here in Pennsylvania and all across the nation. I will mention just a couple. One passenger rail project is about increasing the frequency of the Amtrak Cardinal long-distance passenger train, which runs from New York City, Penn Station, and makes stops in Philadelphia and Wilmington, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C., and then goes all the way across to the then goes all the way across the state of Virginia on that beautiful Virginia route, and then through West Virginia, then runs overnight to Indianapolis, Indiana, then daylight, Indianapolis to Chicago. And I rode that, and again, I went on beautiful, let's see, again, last summer in July, I rode that Amtrak Cardinal passenger train. First, after I rode the Keystone train from Harrisburg to Philadelphia, then I rode the Amtrak Cardinal passenger train from Philadelphia all the way to Chicago and going on that beautiful Virginia route. And Amtrak and President Biden and other people have urged Amtrak to increase the frequency of the Cardinal passenger train from 3 days a week to everyday operation. And I am for that also. And also Amtrak is planning to restore more train cars to service, which had been sidelined. And they are doing repair work on more Amtrak passenger train cars, and they expect to have all the train cars. I read that they expect to have all the passenger train cars which needed repairs. They expect to have them repaired and back in service on the train. That's good. Thank God. And when I rode the train, that Cardinal train last summer, in July 2023, we had a full load of passengers on the train. Every seat was occupied, and any seats that were open were already reserved for passengers. So again, we need more passenger trains. We need we need more train cars on the Amtrak Cardinal passenger train, and we need to have that Cardinal passenger train restored, increased from 3 days a week to everyday operation. Also, another passenger rail project that New Jersey Transit and Amtrak is working on, restoring passenger train service on the Lackawanna Railroad, going from New York Penn Station or from Hoboken to running all the way across New Jersey and then across the Pocono Mountains region here in Pennsylvania, as far west as Scranton. And I read that President Biden supports that and many other passenger rail projects. And also, I propose a streetcar rail system to improve our transit system here in Harrisburg and vicinity. I propose a good streetcar rail system covering Harrisburg and the nearby suburbs. And here's a case in point. In New Orleans, Louisiana, they have a beautiful streetcar rail system. Excuse me. In New Orleans, Louisiana, they have a beautiful streetcar rail system going all the way across the city, and which I rode those streetcar from one end of the line to the other, all the way across the city. And it's beautiful, and many people ride those streetcars in New Orleans. They have great success with their streetcar rail system. And the streetcar rail system serves the city of New Orleans very well. They have frequent service. It's a beautiful, smooth ride, beautiful, fun ride. And the streetcar rail system is a beautiful, fun way to travel there in New Orleans and really see the city. And I rode that streetcar rail system in New Orleans in June of 2022. Yeah, beautiful, thrilling trip there on the streetcar rail system. And I proposed the same thing for Harrisburg. I think it would work if it's operated right and managed right. I think it would be a success here in Harrisburg also. And also more local bus services on the streets and roads, also here in Harrisburg and in suburbs too.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Graham.
thank you very much. God bless. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the middle section that would like to offer public comment? Seeing and hearing no one. Anyone to my left?
Good evening, Brian Kiesling, Midtown. So last week was interesting, to say the least. While not everything that was said needs to be dignified with a response, a few things came up that should be addressed. First, Solicitor Grover told me, quote, "You are not the only point of view. The city hears from many points of view." Now that's interesting, because if you go back and watch 2 months of recordings of these council meetings, you only hear one point of view. Week after week, people have come before you and urged you to bring this resolution forward and pass it. There's not been one single dissenting voice. So I would like to thank Solicitor Grover for confirming what my comment suggested last week about what we already suspected. There are people attempting to kill this resolution behind the scenes, in the dark, undemocratically. And by all indications, it looks like they're being allowed to get away with that, undermining the voices of the public who, not even overwhelmingly, but unanimously, told you that this is what we support. And the fact that this is the 3rd week in a row of me saying no one has come forward to publicly object, and no one still has, that no one who is against this feels the need to say so publicly before getting it killed, speaks volumes about how our local government really works. But it doesn't have to work that way. We can have transparency. Second, last week I repeated the point that over 100 and counting cities and municipalities have passed ceasefire resolutions without legal repercussions, a point that I re-emphasize again tonight. Solicitor Grover responded by telling me that I'm wrong, citing an example of a congressional committee issuing a subpoena in response to a ceasefire resolution that was passed in New York. It is ironic that Solicitor Grover accused us of being selective with the facts, because we looked into that resolution. It has absolutely nothing to do with a city council, municipality, or any other local government passing anything. It is in fact a resolution that was democratically passed by a labor union, and when that subpoena went out, the ACLU immediately issued a legal response because it was a flagrant violation of those union members' First Amendment right to pass that resolution. So that subpoena is immaterial to what we are trying to accomplish here. And as an added layer of irony, the labor union in New York that democratically passed that resolution is a union of lawyers. But the fact of the matter is, all of this is stuff we should be discussing during a work session panel once our resolution is on the agenda, not in public comments in response to a misleading point made last week by the city solicitor. If Solicitor Grover wants to run for council and grill us on the substance and context of our resolution during a work session panel, there's an election next year. Otherwise, he should focus on his job and let you, the elected officials, do your job and bring this forward so that you can make your decision, not his or the mayor's or anyone else's decision, but yours. A decision which ideally would reflect the unanimous support you've heard from the people. Sadly, it's too late for Harrisburg to be on the leading edge of this issue, not after well over 100 others beat us to it. But it doesn't mean we're too late to do it at all. You can still do the right thing. And I'm going off script, but when I walked here tonight, I passed the All You Can van. I saw the picture of those kids on that van, and just for me personally, I gotta tell you, I am beyond my capacity for the images of dead children that I have seen in the last 6 months. It is too much. This is maybe largely symbolic, although we believe there are tangible benefits to passing this for Harrisburg, but it's too much. This is a world historical travesty. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Is there anyone else to my left that would like to offer public comment?
Good evening, City Council. Amanda Arbor, Allison Hill. I am going to be reading the content of this resolution so that it is on the public record and that the people of Harrisburg know what it says. A resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, Palestine. Whereas on June 3rd, 2020, the Harrisburg City Council issued an official statement affirming its solidarity with the city of Harrisburg and surrounding communities against systemic racism and hatred. Whereas between October 7th, 2023 and March 1st, 2024, Israeli military action against the people of Gaza killed over 30,000 civilians, more than 70% of which are women and children. Whereas in the same time period, over 1.9 million Gazans, many of whom were already refugees, descendants of refugees or otherwise displaced by decades of Israeli military action, have been further displaced by Israeli bombing and its ground invasion of Gaza. Whereas the overwhelming consensus of the international community, human rights groups, and international bodies is that nowhere in Gaza is safe due to Israel's military actions. Whereas through both their constant bombardment of Gaza and their withholding of access to electricity, drinking water, food, fuel, medical supplies, and humanitarian aid, Israel is engaging in collective punishment of the civilian population of Gaza, by definition a war crime under international law. Whereas Gaza is on the brink of famine as a direct result of Israel's collective punishment, whereas the remainder of Gaza's population of 2.3 million people face an immediate risk of death as long as Israel's military actions continue. Whereas Holocaust and genocide scholars, human rights groups, and legal experts have stated that Israel is acting toward the Palestinian people with clear genocidal intent. Whereas the International Court of Justice, the highest judicial body in the world, ruled that Israel is plausibly committing genocide against the Palestinian people and ordered Israel to follow provisional measures that legal experts state effectively amount to a ceasefire. Whereas the city of Harrisburg condemns all forms of systemic racism, prejudice, and violence, and strives to put this commitment to social justice into practice. Whereas, as a direct result of Israel's military action against Gaza, the United States has seen a massive increase in anti-Muslim, anti-Palestinian, and anti-Semitic hate speech. Whereas this racist violence was also committed in Harrisburg, where a gun was pointed at Palestinians exercising their rights to free speech and protest. Whereas Harrisburg City Council's invocation calls for peace in the Harrisburg community. Whereas members of Harrisburg's Palestinian community, as well as all residents of conscience, are unable to be at peace physically, emotionally, and spiritually, while Palestine remains under military assault. Whereas the city of Harrisburg recognizes the overwhelming international consensus that the current humanitarian crisis in Gaza is part of a much longer history of violence and forced displacement, and affirms that the root causes of this violence must be addressed in order for there to be a lasting peace. Whereas the city of Harrisburg recognizes the overwhelming international consensus that the current humanitarian crisis in Gaza is part of a much longer history of violence and forced displacement, and affirms that the root causes of this violence must be addressed in order for there to be a lasting peace. Whereas the city of Harrisburg further recognizes and affirms its support for the internationally held principles of decolonization and the right of self-determination for all people. Whereas in its work to dismantle systemic racism, Harrisburg City Council necessarily takes its direction from Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, BIPOC. Whereas BIPOC scholars, educators, teachers, and activists from across the United States and around the world define Israel's treatment of Palestinians as a clear example of systemic racism in both its design and outcome. Whereas international organizations such as the Doctors Without Borders, Amnesty International, the United Nations, World Health Organization, and U.S. Agency for International Development, International Rescue Committee, and many others have called for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in order to prevent the further loss of civilian life and to be in accordance with international law. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to my left?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for serving the city, Harrisburg, a city that I came to after 9/11. Everybody remember that? I came here to Harrisburg to support my nephew.
Excuse me, miss.
At the
I
time.
hate to interrupt, but could you please state your name and...
My name is Nadine Rodriguez.
Thank you.
My brother, Valentin Rodriguez, was a resident of Harrisburg, now lives in Virginia. I served Harrisburg as a transition coordinator at William Penn High School. Everybody remember that? Alternative Ed, CTA. It was closed down. That change took me to Boston for the last 10 years. And so now I'm back in a grandparent role. I have a grandson and daughter. I am back and hearing everybody share and what Harrisburg continues to struggle with. I've seen firsthand because I'm a resident of the area of Cumberland and Sassafras. So drugs, alcohol still prevalent in the city, you know, affecting our families, our children. I also teach now at PA STEAM Academy downtown. So very emotional, very connected to the area. I was the carpool, you know, basketball mom for many years. Both of my daughters went to Harrisburg School District. graduated. They're college graduates now in their careers. So I'm back. I think there's a purpose, there's a reason I'm back here. There's a reason I was here today to hear what you all are doing in Harrisburg, and I'm hoping to connect with Tri-County. I'm also Indigenous. I'm Taino. I'm connected to Wampanoag people of Mashpee, Cape. And so there's so much. I think Harrisburg has great potential. I think we need people that are in city council and judges that are really, truly invested in Harrisburg. I think we need to see more young people that graduated from Harrisburg here and to help the city move forward and progress. I feel like there's a heel on Harrisburg, and I still see it. Crack was a huge, it made a huge impact on our city. Now we're dealing with opiate, with heroin addiction. The women's shelters still, flooded with families. There's so much. So I will be back to city council meetings. I think this is just the very first. I think there's gonna be a lot that I'm gonna come back and share. My problem, I feel like it's trivial compared to everything else that's going on. In moving to Cumberland Street, I've collected a lot of tickets. Parking is horrible. In returning to Harrisburg, I was dealing with my mother having Alzheimer's and dementia, and she was in York, Pennsylvania. So a lot of times I commuted to return back. No parking at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. You can't get a judge in their offices during the week or even in the evenings when you can attend a meeting. And I come from a city of New York where there's millions of people, and judges meet you when they're available all day and evening. They accommodate you 4, 5, 6 in the evening after work, so you don't have to miss a day of work. So I'm here for that reason. I want to speak to someone regarding that. I know for me, my area, it's Judge Pianka. So I'm calling on them, administration, whoever can help with this problem. It has to be addressed. They eliminated in the restoration of downtown, they eliminated parkings, yet they're building dwellings like the one for Salvation Army that's going to create more traffic and more parking issues. So I need to speak to someone, or if you can just direct me to who I need to bring my situation to, I would appreciate it. So I'm ready to invest in Harrisburg, ready to be here, and make a difference. And that's it. Thank you again.
If you wouldn't mind saying just a few minutes after the meeting to talk to our Public Safety Chair, Councilman Jones.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to my left?
Hello, Gabriel Guevara. I live in Midtown on Penn Street. Picking up in the ceasefire resolution where Amanda left off. Whereas leaders across all major faiths, including Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and many more, have likewise called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, as have national and global organizations representing adherents of these religions and others. Whereas Israel's occupation of Palestinian land and its military aggression against the Palestinian people is made possible through the enormous financial and military support provided to Israel by the United States, support which at the same time deprives Americans and disproportionately BIPOC Americans of resources that could otherwise be used to meet their urgent needs. Whereas polling consistently shows that a majority of Americans across all races, religions, and major political party affiliations support a ceasefire and want to see the United States leverage its diplomatic relationships to prevent further violence and civilian deaths. Whereas the United States possesses immense diplomatic and economic leverage with which it could put an end to Israel's military aggression. Now, therefore, be it and it is hereby resolved by the Council of the City of Harrisburg that it decrees systemic racism and acts to the full extent of its capacity to dismantle systemic racism, not only within its own boundaries, but wherever it may have influence. Be it further resolved, the City of Harrisburg calls for an immediate and permanent ceasefire. Be it further resolved, the City of Harrisburg joins over 70 other U.S. cities in calling for the unrestricted entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza, the restoration of electricity, food, water, fuel, and medical supplies to Gaza, the respect of and adherence to international law by all parties, the safe return of all hostages and prisoners held in Gaza and Israel, a just solution that upholds the principles of decolonization and self-determination, the cessation of all Israeli activity that deprives the Palestinian people of dignity, health, and the means to life. Be it further resolved, the City of Harrisburg affirms its status as a welcoming community for people of all faiths and of no religious faith, of all races, ethnicities, and backgrounds, and encourages Harrisburg residents to continuously learn about and combat systemic racism and prejudices. Be it further resolved, the City of Harrisburg commits to stop enabling Israel's war on Palestinians by no longer purchasing products or services from companies with proven records of complicity in Israel's treatment of the Palestinian people, and by encouraging the residents of Harrisburg to do the same. Be it further resolved, the City of Harrisburg calls on our senators and representatives, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the federal government to uphold the will of the people and call for the same as above. And be it finally resolved, the City of Harrisburg will send a copy of this resolution to city councils in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to those of other cities, and to the tribal nations with which the Harrisburg Council has a pre-existing relationship, and to the offices of our Dauphin County Commissioners, our Governor, our U.S. Senators and Representatives, and our U.S. President and Vice President. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to my left that would like to offer public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing no one, we will move forward with our meeting agenda. Next, we have the approval of minutes for the legislative session that occurred on March 26th, 2024. Council members, are there any revisions to those minutes? Seeing and hearing none, the minutes stand approved. We will now move to reports of committees. I will deliver the first report on behalf of the Administration Committee on the work session of April 2nd, 2024. On Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, the Administration Committee met to receive the first quarterly reports of 2024 from the Bureau of Information Technology and the Bureau of Communications. Mr. Steve Bortner, Director of the Bureau of Information Technology, was present to share the quarterly report. His presentation began with a description of the Bureau. Highlights included the following: 867 help desk tickets were completed. Operation Municipal Migration project updates were shared. There are 40 employees who are actively working on the project, and they have spent a total of 7,073 hours working on it. The Bureau has begun to work on their annual goals. There were no significant deviations from the planned budget in reference to the year-to-date spend. There were no special projects or grants, no open positions. Nathan Grumbine, Deputy Director, participated in a segment of 10 questions produced by the Bureau of Communications. Council members asked questions related to the Operation Municipal Migration phases, consulting services, and the city's capacity to address a recent zoning code amendment related to electronic notices. Mr. Matt Maisel, Director of the Bureau of Communications, was present to share the quarterly report. He began his presentation with a description of the Bureau. Highlights included the following: 39 videos were produced, totaling 16,500 views. The city's 311 help desk helped solve 210 tickets. They reviewed annual goals. A company based in Troy, Michigan, named Revised, has been hired to redesign the city's website. The Communications Bureau has spent 22.9% of its budget to date. The Bureau has begun to work on their annual goals, as I mentioned. There are no vacancies. Mr. Maisel shared a number of events the Bureau has assisted with during the first quarter. Council members asked questions related to the company that was chosen for the city's website redesign, Channel 20 programming, and updates on the Comcast agreement. This concludes the report of the Administration Committee. The next committee report you will hear will be shared by Chair Davis on behalf of the Building and Housing Committee on the work session of April 2nd, 2024. Chair Davis.
Thank you, President Bowers. During the work session on April 2nd, 2024, Director Denise Hill shared the quarterly report for the Bureau of Business Development for the Building and Housing Department. Director Hill reviewed the description of the Department of DBHD, oversight of 4 main funded programs, the LED, CDBG, the ESG, and the HOME program. Director Hill discussed the quarterly summary and some achievements. Number 1, there were 3 applications that have been received for the HOME program. Also, 5 programs were appropriated under Resolution 17-2024 for the ARPA funds. Some annual goals were also discussed. Highlighted is the temporary structure for the Broad Street Market is underway and should be opening soon to the public. Also, donations have been coming in to support the stone building. The Capital Area Coalition on Homelessness Winter Overnight Shelter will be forthcoming with its numbers to show how many individuals and families were served. The year-to-date spend for January 1st to March 31st, 2024 was reviewed with council. And Director Hill reminded council members about special projects and grants, noted the grant for the Blueprint communities is to collaborate about upgrades in the Allison Hill community. Also, the Choice Neighborhood Planning Grant, the Early Action Project, which is a $500,000 grant. The implementation grant was also discussed. The coordination with the county home ARP application was also discussed and reviewed. No staffing changes took place over the last quarter, and council members were given ample opportunity to ask questions. This concludes my report for the Building and Housing Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. The final committee report you will hear this evening will be shared by Chair Jones on behalf of the Public Safety Committee on the work session of April 2nd, 2024. Chair Jones.
Thank you, President Bowers. This is very short. I got a short one today. On April 2nd, 2024, the Public Safety Committee work session was held where we discussed Resolution 20 of 2024. Resolution 20 of 2024 reads as follows: a resolution ratifying the 2023 Federal Justice Assistance Grants application and authorizing the City of Harrisburg to enter into a subsequent agreement for Dauphin County to administer $61,594 in awarded grant funds. Present to present this resolution was Deputy Chief Young of the Harrisburg Police Department to discuss Resolution 20 of 2024. My colleagues had no questions. I did ask DC Young, was this a recurring grant? He stated that it was. I also asked, was there a current replacement for Catherine Kilgore of the Criminal Justice Advisory Board Administrator. She has currently resigned and was a major part of the grant writing process to date. No one has currently filled her position. However, they are currently looking for someone to fill it. That ends, no. Yes, that doesn't end my report. I would like to ask that Resolution 2024 be moved to our next legislative session, and I also ask my colleagues to vote yea on this resolution, for it would continue to fund the Victim Witness Assistance Program advocates to better serve the residents of all local municipalities wherever needed. And that ends my report.
Thank you very much. We do not have any ordinances for first reading, ordinances for amendment, or ordinances for final passage. We will move to resolutions. The first resolution for consideration is Resolution 20 of 2024. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes. Resolution 20 of 2024. A resolution ratifying the 2023 Federal Justice Assistance Grant application and authorizing the City of Harrisburg to enter into a sub-recipient agreement for Dauphin County to administer $61,594 in awarded grant funds.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 20 of 2024? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels.
We lose her.
Ms. Davis.
Yes.
Ms. Green. Mr. Jones.
Yay.
Ms. Rawls.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
And Ms. Bowers.
Yes.
Resolution 20 of 2024 passes with a vote of 5 yeas to 0 nays, including 2 absences.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 21 of 2024. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes. Resolution 21 of 2024. A resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with Revise Software Systems for the purpose of redesigning, upgrading, and hosting the website for the City of Harrisburg.
Thank you. Resolution 21 of 2024 will move to the Administration Committee. Next, we have Resolution 22 of 2024. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes, Resolution 22 of 2024. A resolution ratifying the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for the purpose of developing a natural greenscape park to be known as the Swatara Street Park.
Thank you. Resolution 22 of 2024 will move to the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. Next, we have Resolution 23 of 2024. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes, Resolution 23 of 2024. A resolution of the Council of the City of Harrisburg authorizing and appointing Austin Griffin, Deputy Director of Public Works, as the City of Harrisburg's designee to execute any forms, documents, contracts, and reimbursement agreements in the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation's Electronic Engineering and Construction Management System and Reimbursement Agreement System.
Thank you. Resolution 23 of 2024 will move to the Public Works Committee. Next, Resolution 24 of 2024. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes, Resolution 24 of 2024. A resolution approving the third proposed 2024 budget reallocation in order to appropriate certain monies locally designated as revenue replacement funding through an award under the American Rescue Plan Act to provide for specified projects.
Thank you. Resolution 24 of 2024 will move to the Budget and Finance Committee. Our last resolution for consideration this evening is Resolution 25 of 2024. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes. Resolution 25 of 2024. A resolution approving the preliminary/final land development plan for 1610 North 4th Street submitted by Midtown Redevelopment LLC to consolidate 19 vacant parcels and construct a 4-story, 36-unit senior apartment building with first-floor commercial space along with associated improvements.
Thank you. Resolution 25 of 2024 will move to the Community and Economic Development Committee. Is there any old business, council members? Seeing and hearing none. New business, Councilwoman Rawls.
Thank you, President Bowers, and good evening to our guests in person and online. I just want to give you some updates on what's happening in the Burgh this week and weekend. To start off, Extreme Hip Hop starts Thursdays and will go from April 11th to May 9th. It will be at Reservoir Park Pavilion from 6 to 7 p.m. You can register. Registration is required at the harrisburg.helpdesk.com. harrisburg.recdesk.com, or you can call 717-232-3017, but you can also view the pamphlet for it online, the flyer for it, excuse me. Also, don't forget that there is watercolor painting class going on, presented by the Parks and Recreation Department of Harrisburg. That is on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. It started March 6th, and it's still going on until April 25th. And once again, you can find more information about that on the Harrisburg website under Parks and Recreation. There's a flyer for you to view. There will be a free registration for a 5K run and walk, which is a fundraiser for Gaza. It's starting at City Island. It is Saturday, April 13th from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. You can find more information about this event at Harrisburg Palestine Coalition on Instagram. Also, some other things going on. Don't forget, you can buy tickets to see Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The play runs from Thursday, April 11th to Sunday, April 14th, and the play will take place at Stage, which is at 25 North Court Street, and you can purchase tickets at paonstage.com. There are also a few events happening at the Harrisburg Midtown Arts Center, also known as HMAC, this weekend, such as performances by Struggle Jennings and Bromo Sapine. I do not know either one of them, but I'd be interested to know who those performers are. Thank you, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam President. Just as a reminder, Hotspot Saturdays is making its return this Saturday, April 13th. We are focusing on the Camp Curtin section of the city this Saturday. We can meet up, for whoever's interested, they can meet up at the North 6 and Camp Street section. That corridor is right near the YMCA, and we will depart from 10 to 12 doing a cleanup in that area to mitigate illegal dumping. That will take place all the way through September, so if you're interested in any of the cleanups, feel free to reach out to R. Rodriguez at harrisburgpa.gov or 717-557-2045. And also as a reminder, April 27th from 10 to 12 at the Farm Show Arena Complex and Forum, we will have a Civics and Me engagement just to have a more aware citizens forum. We will have one individual from each part of our government just going over where to file your grievances, what their office does, and how they could offer more assistance to our residents. And finally, just another reminder that May 22nd, we will return with the Parent Task Force. That is right here at Harrisburg City Council Chambers. That usually starts at 5:30 and concludes around 7 p.m. That is in partnership and collaboration with the Harrisburg School District. So many great things to get involved with. So get in touch with any of your council members and see how you too can play your role. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Is there any other new business? Okay, seeing and hearing none, the time is 6:59 p.m. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second that.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.